Hello everyone, I am ntom64.
And I'm Ex-Gamer Richie.
And welcome to the HellfireComms playthrough of the Wii version of Okami. This has been long awaited by Richie, I suppose, and
yes.
One person named Rob in the audience. So hi Rob, we see you there.
Oh, I can't wait to see your comments, Rob, because, I've seen you wanting this playthrough for so long, and I've been like, come on, Tom, let me do this game, please!
No, not until THD has left us. He is gone now, he has faded to legend.
But yes, finally, my dream of doing Okami on the HellfireComms channel has come true. It's beautiful.
Tell us a little bit about this old shindig we're covering here, mate. I know about Amaterasu. She's a wolf goddess. She's like in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and so on. She wields a sword/paintbrush, as far as I know. We've got a Rogi here who's like a Hydra thingy that Helldragon spoiled for me in the Pokemon Sun playthrough. Thank you very much, you fucking ingrate. Years of my life down the shitter thanks to you. And there is no paper filter over the graphics in the Wii version. That's by extent of Okami knowledge, so you're going to have to fill in the gaps here for me, please, mate.
Well, that's perfectly fine, and considering how ludicrously long the game's opening cutscene is, I think we're talking well over 10 minutes, it might be closer to 20, I can't quite remember. Ooh. It's been a while. So Okami came out in 2006 on the PS2. It was developed by Clover Studio. Obviously, most of that team then went on to become Platinum Games, and was published by Capcom. Unfortunately, not long after the game came out, because it sold really piss poorly at the time, because, as lovely as this game looks, and as amazing as it is, look at it, how on earth do you sell this to the mass market? They just kind of go, ooh?
Yeah, it's kind of like Beyond Good and Evil at the time, really. Another game we need to bring to the channel. Cough, cough, wink, wink.
So unfortunately, the lack of decent sales essentially led to the closure of Clover Studio, because they'd had a few critical darlings, but no commercial darlings, which is a shame.
What else did Clover Studios put out, mate? Refresh my memory, please.
So, Clover Studio also put out, if you let me just get to the thing. So basically, all of their thing was Beautiful Joe. So Beautiful Joe 1, Joe 2, Red Hot Rumble and Double Trouble. Then they created Okami. And then the last game was God Hand. But it came out in the same year as Okami. So basically, that double bill of Okami and God Hand basically sunk Clover Studio, which is a shame.
Yeah, God Hand got fucking savage.
Yes.
I've seen gameplay of it, and I can certainly see how it would be niche, but reviewers went ham on that shit, whereas Okami, at least, it remained a cult classic, but had sort of a normie following, if you will. God Hand is utter definition of niche, really. It's like Devil May Cry for even bigger weebs.
Yes. So yes, then 2 years later, Capcom decided that they wanted to port the game to the Wii, and got Ready at Dawn and a team called Toes, whatever it is, to develop the Wii version, integrating motion control into the game. Unfortunately, when they did this, they kind of screwed over quite a few things. They ended up creating a few glitches, and also they, in a rather dickish move, completely removed the credits.
Huh?
Yes. Essentially the reason for that, if I recall correctly, is the original credits file was just a video, and so Capcom weren't able to go into it and edit the text. And I think also to do with music rights, because it has a song called Reset on it, which was done and used in the game. And I don't think they were able to get the licensing for it, and it was basically a whole load of complications, so they just completely cut it, which is a massive dick move.
That reminds me of another, I think, Capcom developed game called EX Troopers, where the text is hard-coded into the game to be Japanese. Everything's in Japanese, so they couldn't translate without massive effort, so they just did. Thanks for that.
Thankfully, when it came to creating the HD port of the game, which was released in 2012, they did manage to get into the credits.
Oh, thank God.
And updated it, but they couldn't use the original song, which sucks. And also they completely scrubbed Clover Studios' logo from the game.
Wow, what a bunch of cunts.
I know. Basically, I think Capcom seemed to be very bitter at their departure to form Platinum Games. And so there's a lot of issues there. Although that said, at least Hideki Kamiya, who directed Okami, and quite a few of the rest of the team still had very good relationships with the people at Capcom. And I think there's a chance that they may work together again in the future. I don't know whether part of it was Keiji Inafune being a dick. I seem to recall hearing rumours of that being the case, but obviously that's just speculation.
Well, we know what Kamiya thinks of Inafune. You know, he's a businessman, not a creator.
Yes, and it's terrifyingly true, but he's also not a very good businessman either, so...
Oh, snap.
Now, more things to do with Okami. So, it's set sometime in classical Japanese history,
Okay.
and combines several Japanese myths, legends, and folklore.
I was going to say, because I don't remember any history reports of, like, multiple-headed hydras and magical wolfies and, like, legendary swords, although that would be rad as shit.
Yes. So, basically, it tells the story of Amaterasu, who is the Shinto sun goddess, and basically it follows loads of different narratives that are founded in Japanese myth and legend and folklore, and it's amazing. Like, if you wanted a decent culture/history lesson on Japan, this game's got it all going on.
Yeah, but don't cite it during your Japanese history exams, okay? You're probably going to get marked down.
Probably yes, but if you just needed a general arc and general brush of where the stories go, this game is pretty accurate too.
Nice timing on that, by the way.
Yes, you see, I was trying to be clever. Now, as I did say earlier, this opening cutscene is ludicrously long, but it is important to pay attention to it because it's telling of the legend of Orochi and the great Nagi and how the White Wolf Shiranui, or Shiranui, I can't remember what pronunciation I ended up settling on when I did my first walkthrough of this, because obviously I did the solo walkthrough on my channel and then I brought it over here, because I'm a lazy ass.
Just recycle that footage, mate.
Like, I love Okami. I'm not playing through the entire game and 100%ing it all over again.
Like, you could just play through the game without 100%ing it.
No, I wouldn't feel right, because I want to show off all the beautiful stuff that is in Okami, and also I partially just want to show off because I'm quite proud of myself for some of the things that I managed to achieve.
Fair enough, mate.
And also because if we put it up on HellfireComms, then that means that I will have potentially completed a game sooner than Sugar Conroy has, because he also did an Okami walkthrough, and that was actually around the time that I started replaying the game again. And he still hasn't finished doing all the bonus parts for it all these years later, which is hilarious. So yes, I thought it'd be nice to just do the entire full 100% game, because there is so much stuff in this game that it's all worth seeing, and so it's just like, well, why the hell not?
Man, that Orochi guy got fucked up.
Well, yes, because, I mean, when you've got magical wolf that can control the elements and a great warrior, yeah, Orochi ain't gonna stand a chance. But yes, unfortunately, Shiranui died in the battle with Orochi, and so the villagers honoured the wolf's memory, and it's really quite sad. I have to say, I'm not sure whether Shiranui actually has a proper place in Japanese mythology, but it is a term given to the optical or supernatural phenomenon similar to the will-o'-the-wisp.
Right.
So, Shiranui in Japanese is literally unknown fire, which is quite fitting, to be fair.
Now there's a term I vaguely recognise, Tsukiyomi. I'm not sure where I heard it from. It may be Inuyasha, I'm not sure.
Well, you will have heard Tsukiyomi in a lot of anime-related things. Because Tsukiyomi is the moon god in Shinto and Japanese mythology.
Ah, okay.
The full name being Tsukiyomi no Mikoto. And the no Mikoto is basically the honorific suffix for the names of the gods.
Right. My Japanese, folklore, mythology, whatever, only extends as far back as Onis and Kappa demons. They may be one and the same, I don't know. There you go.
Yes, well, we will certainly be teaching you quite a lot about Japanese culture and history and myth and so on and so forth.
It would be a Richie playthrough if we didn't, mate. Don't pull that sword out your tit, there were demons inside.
Well, yes, but he's clearly an idiot.
Oh, jeez, I shouldn't have done that.
Yes, I think he's seriously regretting that decision. But, I mean, even in this opening cutscene, I look at this and just think, oh my god, it looks so beautiful. Because, I mean, the art style of Okami is one thing that everyone has praised, and rightfully so, because it's bloody gorgeous. I mean, in the end, it's based on Sumi-e artwork, which is inkwash painting, which is, it's actually an East Asian type of painting of Chinese origin, but it is very common in Japan, and obviously it did partially originate there as well. And it's all to do with using tonality and shading by varying your ink density. The inkwash paintings are amazing, and I do love looking at a bit of ancient Japanese artwork, because it is just beautiful.
Am I to assume you prefer the popping, vivid colours of the Wii version to the original kind of paper overlay sort of thing?
I have to say I do. I know Hideki Kamiya wasn't too fond of this. I believe I did mention earlier that he calls this version of the game junk.
Wow.
Yes. He's very angry about the Wii version, and rightfully so, because in the creation of it, bugs were introduced, obviously the credits got cut, and Clover Studios was basically wiped from the game, which anyone would take as an affront, really.
And worst of all, the IGN logo was on the Wii version's box art.
Yes, I can't believe that happened. It just... How? But then again, to be fair, I work in a theatre and get to see how promoters, when they send artwork and copy, and there are times where you just think, how did you get that job? Seriously, you would be surprised.
I would ask you to spill the tea, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
Indeed.
Who's this Sakuya person? She seems very peachy.
So yes, this is Sakuya, who is the spirit of the tree. Well, the great Konohana. She too is a famous figure in Japanese folklore. Basically, every character in the game is from Japanese folklore. Her full name is, she's basically Konohana Sakuya Hime, who is an important kami, or god, who's believed to prevent Mount Fuji from erupting. And she's also the embodiment of the fleeting transience of human life, as her marriage to the god Ningi no Mikoto was said to have made human lives as beautiful yet fleeting as the flowers.
Aww.
Also, the Saku bit of Sakuya comes from, it means to bloom. And also, you've probably heard of sakura trees, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Peach blossoms and all that.
Well, cherry blossoms.
There you go.
Yes, it's that type of tree, and so obviously it all works together to form that. She was affiliated with Konohana, and I think it is actually a peach tree, because if you look at Sakuya's design,
Yes.
She's designed with a peachy motif, which you might have already noticed.
Oh, I noticed like 2 instances of it, mate, yeah.
Yes, but basically her breasts and her rear end, because obviously Hideki Kami is kind of a little bit of a perv.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. As I will talk about with Sakuya as we get later into the game, they were going to go further with Sakuya than they ultimately did end up going with. But we've met Ami now, because Ami is the wolf, Ami Amaterasu. But we're also meeting another character now. And he is easily the most talkative character that Hideki Kamiya has ever created, and has the most lines of dialogue that he has ever written for a character, ever.
Well, I would assume that Amy over there does not actually talk. She seems very, wolfish. Well, she's a wolf anyway, it goes without saying. I'm talking in terms of temperament here, so you've got to have a Navi counterpart for her to talk through, I suppose.
Indeed, and also just to say, it's Army, not Amy. Just to get the pronunciation there.
Look
because
right.
It's Amaterasu.
I'll call her whatever the fuck I want to call her.
But yes, this is the wandering artist Issun, who is based on the figure of Issun Boshi, which is a fairy tale in Japan. Basically think Thumbelina, Tom Thumb, that type of narrative.
Okay.
But I won't properly talk about his story until a lot later in the game.
God, I hope it's tragic.
Well, it's not necessarily tragic, but certain elements of it will spoil what's going to happen later in the game, because where the characters have a relation to a fairy tale or a mythological narrative, those narratives will take some form in the course of the game.
Okay.
It's basically, the entire thing is an amalgamation of Japan, essentially.
What the fuck's going on?
Well, the dreaded Orochi is, obviously he's free, and he's kind of drowning the world in darkness.
Oh, that old chestnut, okay.
Yeah, so we kind of need to go and try and save the world, basically.
Alright, we've got our mission statement. We're alive. That's a new thing. So, yeah, let's go punch Orochi in the face.
Yeah, that might be a little bit difficult, because, I mean, we basically have no powers. Why would you have any powers after you've just woken up after being asleep for 100 years?
That's true. That is true, yeah.
Although that said, we don't have really any powers at the minute. Bar, I think, one, but we don't really know what it is yet. But we kind of need to go and try and get things to work. But first we need to go into the big glowy light. As you do, and this is where we're going to get our tutorial.
Ah, good. Nothing says long game like a long intro followed by a tutorial.
To be fair though, this is a pretty nice and quick, simple tutorial. It's probably still going to last a little while, but considering you're controlling a wolf, and in the original game obviously it was you had the controller, and in this it's the Wiimote and nunchuck, and you do kind of need to just get slightly used to the controls, just so that you know what you're doing.
Have you actually played both versions of the game, mate?
Unfortunately not, largely because I don't think I've ever come across the PS2 version of Okami. I might have come across it once, but obviously I was younger, didn't necessarily have any free cash, and also was just like, well, I've got the Wii version, so is there much point in getting the PS2 version?
You could have got the PS2 version. I mean, Flame's got like 5 copies of Shadow the Hedgehog.
I mean, this is true, but I'm not quite as crazy as Flame is.
Yeah.
And then, because I never had a PS3, I never got the HD version. So, this is just where I ended up being.
Do you really need that many save files? I mean, you called it like an RPG, but I always saw it as more of an action-adventure game.
Well, it's because, obviously, you can save as much as you like, really. Although, as you can tell, I didn't really end up using that many different save files for my original run of the game. Just used the same one. I think when I did this, I did end up having to use quite a few more just to make sure that if anything went wrong, I had a backup save so that I could re-record.
That's LPs for you, mate, but you should always rotate your saves, guys.
Indeed, and if I recall correctly, it definitely proved helpful because on at least a few occasions I did have recording glitches and had to re-record bits and bobs. Well, you won't see the recording glitches, but you may end up seeing some of the technical hitches that occurred throughout, because they're kind of hilarious.
Fair enough, mate, fair enough. I take it we don't have the ability to paint and whatnot yet?
We don't know, unfortunately, but we will hopefully gain that ability as we progress. Obviously, we've been asleep for 100 years, we kind of need to stretch our legs, learn what we're doing, and, I mean, you can probably already tell, like, I've said before, but this game is beautiful.
Yes, I know. Are we going to have, like, a beauty comment quota for every part now?
Yes, we will. Because in almost every part, we're going to be seeing a beautiful new vista or beautiful new thing. So, it's maybe not... I'm maybe being slightly exaggerating there, because I know that there are quite a few parts where we end up doing side quests. And so obviously we'll be revisiting areas, but it always looks beautiful, and I will constantly be saying that.
Well, that's fair, because, I haven't really seen the game in its entirety before, so I'm just looking to see where the story goes.
You will indeed see where it goes. And whilst we're doing this, I might as well go into a little bit of Japanese mythology. Well, religion more so.
Okay.
And actually talk about Amaterasu. So, she has 3 different versions of her name. So you've got Amaterasu, Amaterasu Omikami, and Ohirumi no Muchi no Kami. And basically, she's part of the Japanese myth cycle and a major deity in Shinto religion. She's seen to be the goddess of the sun, but also of the universe. And the name Amaterasu is derived from Amateru, which means shining in heaven. The meaning of her whole name, Amaterasu Omikami, is the Great August Kami who shines in the heaven. And according to the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, in Japanese mythology, the emperors of Japan are considered to be direct descendants of Amaterasu. Essentially, the origin story of Japan, you have Izanagi and Izanami, and basically Izanagi fails to save Izanami from something or other, and Amaterasu was born when Izanagi washed out his left eye, Tsukuyomi was born when he washed out his right eye, and Susanoo was born from the washing of the nose. So you have 3 god figures of Amaterasu, Susanoo, and Tsukuyomi, names which should sound very familiar at this point, and they all come from Izanagi.
Sorry, you're just like saying names and they're washing over me. So if any of them don't land and or register, I apologise.
Well, it's fine. Anybody who's played Persona 4 should definitely recognise the names Izanagi and Izanami, as they are the names of, well, at least a Persona, but also potentially a boss. Very important boss. And here we finally get to use the Celestial Brush. All we need to do is just draw in the missing star. Sometimes the Celestial Brush, because you use motion control to do it, and it's awesome, because obviously you're actually painting, but sometimes it's not accurate and it doesn't really accept things that you want it to accept.
Dude, that's dope.
Oh, hell yes.
Yomigami.
Yes, so this is one of the brush gods. And if you give me a second, because obviously I'm having to Wikipedia at the speed of light.
Yeah.
So, Yomigami is the celestial brush god of rejuvenation. The Yomi refers to the underworld, which it's a neutral realm unlike the heaven or hell of Western beliefs. However, Yomigeru, which is also the kanji used to write Yomigami's name, means to be resurrected. And actually, it's quite important that he has these orbs, because dragons throughout Eastern Asia, and without exception in Japan, are revered as great and honoured beasts of divinity. One characteristic that they depict is carrying an orb-shaped jewel or pearl in one or more of their claws. They also represent prosperity, luck, and wealth, and the orbs are said to be blessed with the abilities of omnipotence and creation at will, as well as powers over the phenomena of weather and the seas.
This is a really plebeian observation, but I wonder if that's why the Dragon Balls are shaped like they are, because of the whole dragons carrying orbs thing.
That will indeed definitely be the case. Playing through Okami and actually delving into a bit of research and all these things does make you really realise how entrenched Japanese mythology is in a lot of the things that we've consumed when we were younger, but we just didn't really notice it, because it was just kind of just tucked in there. I mean, even if you look at things in Mario, there's a lot of stuff to do with Japanese mythology in there.
Like, isn't Bowser based on a kappa?
I believe so, yes.
I know Lotad from Pokemon definitely is.
Oh, definitely, yes. So yes, this is using rejuvenation. Basically just draw in the River of Stars. And, oh, it's amazing.
How do the motion controls feel to you, mate? Do you feel they're accurate, or are there slip-ups from time to time?
They are mostly accurate. There are slip-ups from time to time. I would say that stick control is definitely more accurate. As you can see here, I missed a bit and had to swim around. So I would say the stick controls are definitely more accurate. Having obviously then gone on to play the one for 101, that also had drawing mechanics, and I got a lot better. Well, I got more used to using sticks to draw things, and they do work a lot better. But there's something quite fun and intuitive about using the Wiimote as an actual brush. When it works and you're doing it well, oh my god, it's so much fun.
It's kind of like the Wii version of Spider-Man 3. When it works, swinging with the nunchuck and the Wii remote is fun. Most of the time, though, oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say majority of the time, it works perfectly fine. You get a cool thing of if you move the Wiimote closer to the screen, then the paint mark will be bigger. If you move it further away from the screen, it'll be smaller. So you can change, I think, the power of the moves that you're using. Or you can cover more areas or less, depending on what your decision is.
Oh, come on, give us some enemies to fight. I'm itching for a go, you know what I'm saying?
We will face down enemies soon enough, but to be fair, we don't really have entirely enough tools to properly take down any demons.
I'm guessing we need a sword of sorts first.
Well, no, we do have a weapon, which is the reflector that we've got on our back. So essentially, it's a magic mirror of sorts.
Oh, okay, I wondered what that was.
So this is essentially your primary weapon for the game, but we will eventually get a whole heap of other weapons. Not many, because there's only 3 types, but we will get different variants of these 3 types throughout the game.
Okay.
You will have also just seen me pick up a thing called a stray bead not too long ago, and there are 100 of them located throughout the game, and we will be collecting all of them.
Sweet Jesus. Alright, no, I'm here for the whole thing, it's fine.
To be fair, you will quite like the fact of some of them are slightly difficult to get, and so you'll be proud of me for my achievements.
We'll see, mate, we'll see.
So yes, this is the Cave of Nagi. Have you noticed something a little bit wrong with this image?
The sword's broken.
Yes, I think we should probably fix that, don't you?
Go magic paintbrush.
Yes, we'll be using the Celestial Brush quite a lot throughout the game. These are essentially the items of Okami. So if you think about like the hook shots and all that jazz in Zelda, the Celestial Brush moves are those. And when we get to dungeons and so on and so forth, they will be the things that we end up unlocking.
I'm trying to remember, like, another game where you paint on something and it becomes something. Hang on, it'll come to me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Skyward Sword. There you go.
Yes, actually, yes.
You paint it on the wall, you, like, make a Triforce and boom, you get hearts or some shit. Is this a mouse version of Ami?
No, so these are just the brush gods. They are, well, they're sort of part of Ami, but they're not. They hold the brush powers. So this is Tachigami, the rending god, as you can tell by the fact that he has a sword.
Nice, he's my favourite god now.
So the Tachi, or Tatsu, as I think it can also be, is the verb variation of the kanji ta, which in the form that it's used means to cut. Tachi is also a kind of sword. So, as you can probably guess, this is going to give us a new brush technique, which is obviously a massive cut.
A slice, if you will.
Yes. The official name for it is the Power Slash.
Nice.
And essentially the way that you do it is just by drawing a straight line through something. And you can cut pretty much anything with this. So, you see this boulder? We're going to cut it in half.
Aren't gods supposed to preserve the environment and whatnot?
It's a rock. It's fine.
I knew that was going to be your answer somewhere. Oh well, it was dope all the same.
Well, also, I think Ami can get away with destroying the environment when she runs, flowers literally come from her feet.
Well, it's not like boulders come from the places she's run over.
This is true, but they do kind of respawn, so I think it's okay.
Fair enough, mate.
But yes, this is basically all we really need to do for now. We've still got a bit of a ways to go before this opening is over, like, seriously long. And I recall when I first played Okami, it was roughly when I first got it, and I got a little bit further than this, and then I just kind of stopped playing at the time, because, I don't know, I think it was because I found it quite slow, and I wasn't sure quite what I was doing, got a bit confused, a bit lost, and just other games ended up coming and taking precedence.
Okay.
And then it was a little while, well, I think maybe a year or two later, when I came back to it, because I was just like, I really feel like playing that game and seeing what was going on and what I missed. And I'm so glad I did, because I then obviously clearly bloody loved it.
So talk to me about the paint or ink system of the game, mate. You pick up ink bottles to replenish yourself, I suppose?
Sort of. So, your ink gourds, as I shall call them, do respawn gradually, but the more drawing you do, the more that your ink will get used up.
Okay, well, now, moving swiftly on to enemy encounter time. Take it away, mate.
So to attack in the Wii version, you shake your Wiimote, and Ami will attack with her reflector, and it's great. It feels quite amazing to play, although combat does ultimately end up being slightly easy. What you just saw there was me pulling off a thing called a floral finisher. Basically, once you have defeated an enemy, there will be a phase where it goes into slow motion as it dies. If you attack it with the right Celestial Brush technique, then you will get a thing called a Demon Fang out of it, which you can use to get treasures later on.
Nice.
So you are definitely going to be wanting to make use of floral finishes throughout the game, because they are so useful, so insanely useful. Also, the timing for attacking with the reflector can feel a little bit odd.
Yes, I've noticed.
Obviously, when I started recording Okami, it'd been a very long time since I'd played the game last.
I keep telling you to play before you record!
It doesn't happen, Tom. I just don't do that. It's not the way I roll. But it's just a case of just getting the time down, because it's not a case of spamming. You have to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, essentially.
It's like actually painting then.
Yeah, you've got to time it just right to get it to work properly. There are weapons that we'll get later on which do an easier job of comboing, and also we will obviously get more powerful weapons which will increase the number of combos that we can do. It's just a little bit of a learning curve to get used to everything, but thankfully it's nice that Army moves as quickly as she does, because you can just sort of run around the arena and it's really quite fun.
Man, this makes the combat as the Wolf and Twilight Princess seem like a snail's pace.
Indeed, and this is why everyone said that Okami was the best Zelda game of that era. I can't remember whether people said it was the best Zelda game on the Wii, but it was definitely the best Zelda game on the PlayStation 2 at the time.
Well, what else was there to take that title, besides, like, Beyond Good and Evil, you know?
This is very true.
That's my bridge. I made it.
So, yes, we are just going to be leaving the Cave of Nagi and heading out into Kamiki Village to see just what awaits us there, because obviously we've gained abilities now. We should be able to at least hold our own in a fight, but obviously things are still not quite good in the world, because Orochi's about and he's kind of trying to kill us and all that jazz.
Oh god, I hope everyone's fine in the village and whatnot. Like, I seem to recall the Peach Lady saying there's a little bit of protection going on, but it might not last, so, yeah, time to sprint back, I believe.
I think that would definitely be a good idea. Now, this is a save mirror, and basically it's where you save, obviously. We did see it when we came in, and obviously we're using it again as we come out, because I just like to make sure that I'm constantly saving. I'm not gonna die. I know I'm not gonna die, but it's just that reflex.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing that I've learned as, well, having played many years of games. It's just like, yeah, I need to save at all times.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to, like, you know, quantify or qualify your OCE, mate. We all understand. We've all been there. And don't go away, because we've got another part of the Okami playthrough coming later today. So join us then for part 2 of what no doubt shall be the longest HFC playthrough of the year. So we'll see you then. Oh, so beautiful.